And I asked the Attorney General, did he or did he not claim privilege with respect to the transcripts of the audio recording in question when we were talking about Special Counsel Hur looking into the allegations of the abuse of classified materials by the President of the United States before he was president. And I asked him, and he said, no, we did not claim executive privilege with respect to the transcripts. In a separate exchange involving the best evidence rule, the Attorney General was engaging with another colleague, a friend on the Judiciary Committee, about the best evidence rule, and in doing so, articulated and explained how the transcript was admissible under the best evidence rule, which is correct. But in doing so, he kind of gave up the game, in which he described and said, they're the same. He said to the committee, he said, they're the same. Now, he just told me that they did not claim executive privilege with respect to the transcript. Then he said to all of us, they're the same. The audio recording and the transcript are the same. And then he proceeds to say that he must, in defending the rule of law, claim executive privilege on the actual audio, and then deny the members of Congress the ability, in the middle of an impeachment inquiry, duly constituted, voted on by this body on the House floor, an impeachment inquiry, to then deny us the ability to listen to the audio. The fact of the matter is, there's only one reason why the Attorney General would do that. He doesn't want us to hear it. That's why. And there's really only two reasons why that would be the case. Either the transcript doesn't match the audio, or the audio is so bad that he doesn't want us to hear it.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It seems like the GOP may just grow some cojones. Who knows? Who knows? But this move right here from the GOP, the House Republicans, seems to suggest that maybe, just maybe, they're willing to do to Democrats what Democrats have shown that they're willing to do to the GOP, okay? And this story involves Merrick Garland, who is Biden's Attorney General, being held in contempt of Congress, and Republicans voting to do that today after Merrick Garland refused to hand over an audio tape of Joe Biden's interview with Robert Hur. Now, you guys should be familiar with Robert Hur. He is the special counsel that investigated Joe Biden for the classified document scandal. Now, Robert Hur testified to Congress that, hey, this guy should have been charged, but we're not going to charge him because he's old and senile, okay? He just can't stand trial. Too many people will feel bad for him for us to actually get a guilty verdict, even though we know that Joe Biden willingly and knowingly took classified documents with the intent to try to make millions of dollars off of them by sharing classified information with his ghostwriter in order to write a book. Okay, we know that for a fact. Joe Biden should be standing trial. However, because the system has been weaponized to protect Biden, he is not. And now you have the mainstream liberal media playing this stupid game with the American people, trying to pretend that, oh, Hunter Biden being found guilty of gun charges is proof and evidence that the system's not weaponized. If you're stupid, yeah. But if you're actually paying attention, everybody knows that the Biden-led DOJ tried their best to give Hunter Biden a sweetheart deal that would allow him to be immune from future prosecutions having to do with him and his business dealings overseas, acting as a foreign agent, even though he was unregistered. That's actually what he should be charged with. Okay, we actually should be having a deeper conversation about Joe Biden's role in those activities as well, too, because he most certainly was involved, but we're not, because again, they're running the psyop on the American people. They're distracting you with, oh, Biden got found guilty on gun charges, therefore the DOJ is not weaponized. See? Biden has let his own son be punished by the DOJ. Except, again, anybody with two brain cells to rub together knows that Hunter Biden is not going to get punished, okay? It just so happens that a Trump judge stopped Hunter Biden from getting that sweetheart deal, and now the Biden administration decided that, hey, you know what? Plan B might be better, okay? Let's actually have my son be found guilty, and we'll pretend like, you know, hey, this is evidence that the system is fair, okay? The DOJ treats everybody fairly, when that's just simply not the case, okay? Hunter Biden will not see any serious prison time, and if he gets sentenced to prison or jail, Joe Biden most certainly after the election will pardon him or commute his sentence. He will not see any serious punishment or consequences for his actions. I guarantee it. Okay. This is just another psyop from the Democrats and the mainstream liberal media, because the DOJ had a real chance to prove that, hey, we're not weaponized. And Merrick Garland dropped the ball, which is why he's been held in contempt of Congress, because he has repeatedly denied a congressional subpoena to hand over the audio tapes of Joe Biden's interviews with Robert Okay. And the reason why Republicans want these interviews is because people need to hear the audio of Joe Biden struggling so much that the special counsel decided that, hey, we can't go after this guy because he's so mentally incapacitated that, again, a jury wouldn't even better found him guilty, right? We don't even have a case against him because he'd be seen as a senile old man. Okay. It would be elder abuse to go after this guy. So if that's the case, then why is he president of the United States? The American people deserve transparency. They deserve to know how Joe Biden answered those questions in his state of mind at the time of answering those questions. And Merrick Garland refuses to hand over these tapes. The reason why he's refusing to hand over these tapes is because he's protecting Joe Biden. So now, as a result of his defiance on behalf of Joe Biden, he is facing arrest, okay? If Republicans had the cojones to use the sergeant at arms in the House to go after Merrick Garland, because we know that Merrick Garland's DOJ is not going to go after Merrick Garland. So it's up to the Republicans now that they've held him in contempt to take it one step further by directing the House Sergeant at Arms to go and arrest Merrick Garland himself. Take a look.
All right, this vote is continuing in the House right now. It's a House vote to hold the Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland, in contempt of Congress after the Justice Department refused to comply with these subpoenas demanding audio recordings of the president's interview with a special counsel investigating his handle of those classified documents. One notable no vote from Republicans, the only one that I can see right now, that would be Dave Joyce of Ohio. We are waiting here for Nancy Mace, how that went. She'll be joining us shortly. Right now to Aisha Hosni on what's at stake here. Aisha.
Here we go. So, Neil, this has passed now. The final vote is 216 to 207. As you mentioned, Joyce from Ohio is the only Republican no vote. He decided to buck his party. There were at least 6 members early this morning that were still undecided, sort of on the fence, and all but one, all but Joyce, voted with their party. Now what happens next? You were talking with John right before the break about the DOJ probably not likely to go after their own boss, right, now that this contempt vote has passed. But here's what could happen. There is an alternative road for House Republicans. Congresswoman Ana Paulina Luna of Florida is vowing to force a vote on an inherent contempt. This is different from what we just saw happen on the House floor. Inherent contempt basically means that if it passes, it would direct the House Sergeant at Arms then to go and arrest Merrick Garland. So essentially the House would be doing the job of the Justice Department. We don't know if it's going to happen. She's certainly vowing to at least use a privilege motion to force this. And if she does that, then in the matter of 2 legislative days, the Speaker of the House would have to bring that to the floor for a vote. So if that happens, this drama goes on with AG Garland.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Ana Paulina Luna, who is a female representative from Florida, Republican, seems to have more cojones than the men in the Republican Party, because she's the one that said, hey, you know what? I am going to push even further with this, okay? I'm not going to do this empty virtue signal, which is what holding Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress is, because we know that his own DOJ is not going to go after him, right? They're not going to arrest and prosecute Merrick Garland. So you know what? I'm going to actually put forth a provision with some teeth behind it to actually arrest this guy, which is something that the GOP should have been using for a long time now, right? I'm like, where has this been? The House, this whole time, has had the power to go and arrest people themselves, and they haven't been doing it. You need to go ahead and use this with Fannie Willis, okay? You should be having these people arrested left and right. Democrats should be arrested. You should be abusing this, spamming this. This is what Republicans should be doing. Now, again, they're going to have an opportunity to vote on this, and we're really going to see what the Republican Party's made of, because we know most of the time when they get opportunities to actually do something like this, they fold. Okay? So I'm not going to get my hopes up. But if there is a vote on this, we have to pay attention to who votes yes and who votes no. Any Republican that votes against having Merrick Garland arrested has to be primaried. I'm so serious. This is where we're at this point. Because the Republican Party needs to sack up, or our republic will be overthrown by these Democrats, okay? Look at what they're trying to do to the Supreme Court. They're serious. They're going to try to remove Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, and every single last one of them will vote for it. They will get on board with it. So I don't want to see no Republicans being scared and timid to go after one of the Democrats when the Democrats are not scared and timid to go after Republicans. Okay, they're trying to destroy the Supreme Court. So this is not the time to have any mercy and to think about optics and what, people may think. No. Democrats never care about what people think. Okay, they do it and then they try to clean it up later. So I want to see every Republican vote to have this man arrested if this bill is brought to the floor, which it should. So anyways, we got to talk about MSNBC, okay? BSDNC. They're going to, of course, cope over the fact that Republicans have held Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress, and they're going to pretend like this is some type of injustice and it's a political game, when the reality is that this man is not following orders. There's no reason whatsoever for him not to hand over the Biden audio tape if it's exactly the same as the written transcript. There's no reason except to protect Joe Biden, okay, which would be evidence and proof of the DOJ being weaponized, because again, what other reason would he hold the tapes except to help Joe Biden? Also, on top of that, what they won't mention in this video, what they'll conveniently leave out, is the fact that Democrats have done this before by holding Bill Barr in contempt of Congress for not handing over information related to a Democrat investigation. Okay, so again, when Democrats do it, it's totally fine. Okay, when Republicans do it, it's wrong, it's bad, they can't do this, right? I mean, even Jake Tapper on CNN, even CNN can see through the BS.
The last three of the last five attorneys general have been found in contempt of Congress. Eric Holder didn't turn over information relating to the Fast and Furious mishap, that sting operation. Attorney General Bill Barr was held in contempt of Congress by a Democratic Congress for not turning over information, the unredacted Mueller report, and now Attorney General Merrick Garland for not turning over the audio. A citizen who doesn't have a dog in the fight might say, it seems to me as though the legislative branch is trying to do oversight of the executive branch, and the executive branch keeps giving whoever's in charge of Congress, the executive branch consistently gives the finger to the House. I assume you don't see it that way, but there is a consistency in these three contempt of Congress votes.
Well, there's only a consistency in the fact that three attorney generals have now been held in contempt by Congress, but the situations and the circumstances are very different. There was no basis for Bill Barr to withhold the unredacted report from Congress. He could identify none if it were an issue of classified or secret information.
But there's really no basis for the Justice Department to not give the audio recordings to Congress either.
Well, first of all, there is, and I do believe the basis is that it would have a chilling impact on any future cooperation of witnesses who would know they would be recorded and would know that it potentially could be disclosed. And who knows what's in a specific recording? We know what the substance is because we have the transcript. And so there are legitimate investigative reasons why the Department of Justice would not want to turn over. And the Congress has to have a legitimate reason to request these materials. There is no legitimate reason that anyone has identified on the Republican side why they need the audio recording in addition to the transcript.
But anyways, without further ado, let's get into it.
This news just breaking on Capitol Hill. The GOP-led House of Representatives has just voted to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress for refusing to hand over audio tapes of Special Counsel Robert Hur's interview with President Joe Biden in his investigation over President Biden's handling of classified documents. The House is in possession of that transcript and has been for a long time. Andrew Weissman, it feels like every day we have a new chapter or a new piece of evidence in the perversion of the rule of law, the opposite of what you just described Jack Smith and Joe Biden doing in terms of playing it straight, and this all-out assault on the rule of law from the right.
Wow. So again, it's an all-out assault on the rule of law when a Democrat, when Merrick Garland won't follow the law, which is to hand over these tapes, right? If the Congress, okay, if the House says, hey, we're issuing you a subpoena, you need to hand over these tapes, wouldn't following the law be to hand over the tapes? Merrick Garland is defying Congress, and these people try to pretend that Congress, they're the ones that are going against the rule of law. Again, that's how silly these people are. That's how inconsistent they are, right? They will twist anything to fit their narrative, even when it doesn't. It's really stunning, right? It really is. This is a network for stupid people. I'm so serious. They believe that you're dumb.
I'm going to borrow a phrase from President Barack Obama when, we are in the midst of silly season. We have not seen a lot of adult supervision in the House. And the idea that impeachments are now being handed out as retaliation as opposed to reserving that for the most egregious conduct is,
again, amazing. These are the people who issued frivolous impeachment proceedings against President Trump as retaliation, right? As retaliation for him winning the 2016 election, okay? Because they were saying that he was illegitimate before the man even got into office. So they were retaliating against him winning the election by bringing these impeachments against him. And now this guy wants to boo-hoo, whine, and cry about impeachments because of retaliation. Again, it's amazing.
Is another sign of the way in which Donald Trump and his enablers have really debased Washington and institutions that I know you and I, Nicole, absolutely revere. And so it's very, very painful to see that denigration. There's nothing that Merrick Garland has done that warrants this. They have the transcript. The reason for the audio tape would be solely to see if they could make political hay out of it. That is not the role of the.
Well, it's because of transparency. Okay, it's because the American people deserve transparency. We need to know what was said during that interview and how Joe Biden said it. That was so bad that basically you have this guy come out and say, yeah, Biden knowingly and willingly committed the crime. We know why he did it. He did it to try to make millions of dollars, but we just can't go after him because he's too old and senile. Okay, so we need to hear the tapes. Yeah, you're damn right. If you want to call that political, call it political, but we need the tapes. We need to hear it. Okay, transparency. Remember, Biden said we're going to be the most transparent administration ever, but they have not been transparent at all. What's happening right now is transparency, and they're pushing back against it. And of course, again, the mainstream liberal media goes right along with it. Of course they do.
Department of Justice. And this is not something that they traditionally do. And so they're adhering to that norm, which is something that they should be doing, which is adhering to what they would do regardless of whether it would help or hurt the sitting president, whether it would help or hurt a Republican or a Democrat. And you cannot think of a better time for Merrick Garland to be making that point when he has been the Attorney General overseeing an investigation of the sitting president, overseeing and appointing a special counsel for a prosecution, a successful one of the president's son, and one that is going to come up, a second one for the president's son in September, and ongoing cases against a sitting Democratic senator. It is just impossible to think that he is playing politics, or if he were, he's doing it awfully badly.
No, or what we have here is chess, right? We don't have checkers, okay? These people, Again, they want you to think that Merrick Garland is playing checkers. No. That's not how these politicians roll. Okay? They're playing chess. What happened with Hunter Biden is chess. Again, they tried to get him off before, but that didn't work. That was stopped by a Trump-appointed judge. Now, again, plan B is to say, all right, well, cool. He can get convicted. We could just use that as proof that what happened to Trump is not weaponization, even though we know that it is. Because ultimately, Hunter Biden is not going to be held accountable at all. So it's really a wash, right? We'll put on a show and try to pretend like, the president is so sad about it and, he is taking such a fatherly role and he loves his son, and we'll have the mainstream media play it up. Because, again, we think people are stupid. But, again, if you're paying attention, you know that this most definitely is politics. 100% is politics. The fact that this guy is holding on to the audio tapes instead of releasing them, despite the subpoena, tells you everything. No, yeah, it's politics. If Congress says hand over the tapes, then you hand over the tapes. And if you don't, then there's consequences. I mean, ask Steve Bannon, right? These people agreed with Steve Bannon going to jail for defying Congress, right? They all cheered that. But now all of a sudden when it's Merrick Garland, oh, we don't like it. It's funny how that works. So anyways, you seen that, you heard that. We will see how much cojones the Republican Party has here. Okay, if they actually have Merrick Garland arrested, then that would be a good sign, in my opinion, that Republicans are actually up for the fight against Democrats. Because, again, if Democrats were in the position that Republicans are in right now, best believe they would be having this guy arrested. 100% they would have a Republican attorney general arrested. 100%. They wouldn't even think twice about it. And if Republicans can't do the same to Democrats, then throw the whole party away. That's how I feel about it at this point. Okay? This is not revenge. This is not retribution. This is justice. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.